Bula from Fiji.
Bula! That's the greeting you'll hear everywhere across this island nation.
Located in the South Pacific, about halfway between Hawaii and Australia, Fiji is an archipelago of 300 volcanic islands.
It has one of the most developed economies in the Pacific, thanks to its natural resources like timber, fish, and, of course, water.
But there's more to Fiji than just the world-famous bottled water.
3/4 of the country's population of nearly 1 million people live along the coast of Fiji's main island, which is ringed by coral reefs that are popular with scuba divers and snorkelers.
Beneath the surface, you might swim with sharks, dolphins, manta rays, sea turtles, and even the occasional humpback whale.
Fiji is also a major destination for surfers, and it's home to the famous wave known as cloud break, which is one of the world's most challenging waves to surf. You might recognize it from movies or from the annual Fiji Pro Surf Competition.
To explore the beauty of Fiji on land, head to Sikatoka Sand Dunes National Park. You'll find towering seaside sand dunes, lush wooded paths, and hundreds of Pacific flying foxes.
These native megabats roost high in the trees of the park's Mahakoni forest, and it's fun to listen to them chirp at each other when they hear humans hiking below.
To get a bat's eye view of Fiji for yourself, climb to the peak of historic Tavuni Hill Fort. A clan from nearby Tonga stopped to admire the sweeping vistas when they arrived in Fiji in the 1800s, and they've been there ever since.
The fort is owned by the Tongan people. These young refugees from Tonga. He came with his family, fishermen and warriors. He saw the smoke was coming out from the fort. Then the thing that happened, he made friends with the native, the Fijian people.
Today, the land is still co-owned by people from both Fiji and Tonga.
You can also visit other historical sites on Fiji's main island, including the Naihehe Caves. The name means a place to get lost, and these caves are a primitive underground fortress featuring the ritual platform and oven used by Fiji's last known cannibalistic tribe.
Don't worry, though. Archaeological evidence has shown that cannibalism in Fiji was much rarer than legend made out, and the practice ended over 150 years ago.
The last meal made from a man graced the table in 1867. Methodist missionary Reverend Thomas Baker was the main course, and the remains of his shoes are on display in the Fiji National Museum.
Also on display are many of the artifacts found at the Tavuni Hill Fort, as well as traditional South Pacific jewelry, hand-hewn watercraft, and relics of Fiji's colonial past.
To see how the country's past and present come together, make a stop in one of Fiji's pottery villages with their traditional wood and straw bure houses.
We experienced a kava ceremony where villagers warmly welcomed us with the traditional beverage made from a ground plant root, which is mixed with water to make a cold tea-like beverage with an earthy flavor reminiscent of matcha.
And the color will look like a muddy water, but the taste, it's okay.
The women of the Nakabuta village demonstrated their lapita pottery making techniques for us, using the same methods perfected by their ancestors over the past 3,000 years.
Raw clay straight from the earth is mixed with sand and other tempering materials to make it more workable and durable. The potters shape this material by hand, similar to kneading bread dough. Then they create the vessel, smoothing and thinning the clay with their hands and with wooden paddles. The finished pieces dry before they're fired, and natural tree resins provide the shiny, protective glaze.
The finished pottery pieces are beautifully decorative, but they're also highly functional and often used daily for meals.
And while you might think meals in Fiji are mostly fish and fruit, you might be surprised at the prevalence of Indian cuisine.
In the late 1800s and early 1900s, nearly 61,000 indentured laborers arrived from another of England's colonies to work the sugarcane fields in Fiji. At the end of their contracts, they could return to India, but many of them chose to stay.
Fiji's population is now nearly 40% Indian Fijian.
Another import to Fiji was Canadian actor Raymond Burr of Perry Mason fame. He was an avid orchid lover and established a botanical garden in Fiji called the Garden of the Sleeping Giant.
It features more than 2,000 types of orchids, along with native plants surrounding a lovely pond that's perfect for picnics.
While there's lots to see and do in Fiji, you can make the most of your travel budget and the long flight across the Pacific by visiting neighboring countries while you're in this part of the world. In nearby Vanuatu, you can send a postcard at the world's only underwater post office. And World War II buffs can explore shipwrecks and other remnants of the Pacific War on the Solomon Islands.
For more from Oceania and the rest of our Around the World adventure, follow We Married Adventure on Instagram and Facebook, and visit WeMarriedAdventure.com.